Hello, this is Len Lindsay at My Rogue Angels. I'm going to be talking about the strategy for one of the very first missions in Rogue Angels that's supposed to um, help you learn how the game works. And the interesting thing with this is all covered in my previous video. I went over the map and how it's set up and a little bit about the game. Um, Now I'm going to talk about the strategy I'm going to put together to see if I can pull out a success in this. So right here, I'm going to try for um, a success of never being seen. So if I can stay out of the range and line of sight of the enemies the whole game. So at the end of any of my players' turns, I have two heroes. At the end of each turn, they can't be in the line of sight and range of the enemies. And the enemies have a range of 3. So I need to stay at least 4 away from them to be out of the range, or I could be closer but just have an obstacle in between so that it's not line of sight. So there's the enemies here. I'm starting my team right here. I got them marked blue and purple to help me keep track of what's going on. And Tarthus is the commander. He's purple. And Adriel, I've got marked with blue to remind me that he's the blue one. Let's look at the cards I'm going to use. If I'm going to try to be sneaky and just never be seen, I'm not going to need any attack cards at all. So Adriel's cards, my blue guy, I'm not going to need some of these cards. I'm not going to need a regen pack, which is good for healing, because if we're staying out of sight, no one's going to be getting hurt. So I won't need that card. I'm not going to need this frenzy card because this is attacking enemies. We're not going to be attacking enemies. And I'm also not going to need a blaster because that's attacking enemies. So I got 3 cards I'm not going to be using for Adriel. Unless, of course, we do get seen. Once they see us, then instantly I'm going to be wanting to use those cards, probably a lot. Next, let's look at purple. The purple, I mark it with purple to help me remember. Antatus. Let's look at some of the cards that he won't need. Let's see. He won't need to use muscle regeneration because that's healing. He's not going to need any healing if we're not doing any fighting. He's also not going to need armored claws because that's an attack. We're not attacking them. We're trying to stay out of sight. He's also not going to need a shock rifle because we're not attacking them. And he's also not going to need to do this stance where he deals damage to them. So that's actually 4 cards out of the cards that we've got that we're not going to be needing. So for Antathus, we're going to only be basically having 3 cards. It's a standard move and a basic move and a basic interact with doors and terminals. You can interact right here. Interact for 1, and a dice could possibly make it more. And whenever moving, you move for 1. And the dice could make it more. And he's got 1 other card that we're going to get to use. That's helping movements. 3 squares. Rolling 1 dice that could possibly bump that up. It also lets you deal an attack, which we're not going to be worried about. We're just going to be worried about doing the move. That'll go down onto cooldown track 2. The 2 basic ones are cooldown track 0, which means you could do them twice in 1 turn if you'd want. Now, Adriel, the blue, has two cards that, well, he's got the 2 basic cards again, which we've already discussed, so that's there. But he's also got a card that helps with hacking. So if he's within 3, so he can hack a door or terminal from 3 squares away for 2 and roll in 1 dice, so that 2, he could actually pull 3 or 4 things out of the bag trying to get a match of 3 of all the same color, 1 wild. So this he's actually going to be the one that's going to be doing hacking the most. The purple guy doesn't have any special abilities for that. He'd have to do it the standard way. And for moving, we've got really good move. With rolling 2 dice, he can move 4 plus whatever happens with those 2 dice. So he could technically move up to 8 if those dice are maxed out at 2 each. So he's got a very fast move. The move will go on cooldown track 3, so it'll be a while before he'll get that back again. The hacking goes on cooldown track 2, but it's got a boost available that lets us put it in track 1. So see, it says right here, 1 less on the cooldown track. So instead of putting it in track 2, we could put it in 1. And then when the turn is over, automatically as the free rest after your turn, everything slides over 1. To the left, it would come off the board. So if we use this boost, we'd be able to use this card 2 turns in a row. So that's what we've got going for the cards. Now, let's take a look at the board. The enemy's here, and I'm here. There's an obstacle right here in the middle of the map that's preventing them from being in our line of sight. Plus, they're out of range. Remember, the range is 3. But I'm worried about concentrating most about the line of sight. So I've got some things marked. I spent an hour looking at this, trying to figure this out. So after the first turn, if I have Adriel go for doing some hacking, every time at the end of our turn, the enemy does something, and they're going to be doing patrolling. So they have not seen us yet. So if my hero interacted with something like a door or a terminal, they're going to jump down and do this bottom one, which moves them 1 square towards whoever that player was that did one of those hackings. Otherwise, if the player didn't do anything like hacking a door or hacking a terminal, they just move 1 square towards the nearest player. In any case, they're always moving just 1 square. They're not actually chasing us. They're just systematically patrolling. So I'm thinking if I start with blue and hack that door from a distance, remember I can hack from up to 3 away, and I only need to, this right now, it's only 2 away. So if I try hacking that and then move 1 closer to finish it, I don't think I'll be able to do it all in one thing, then the enemy is going to be moving towards the blue guy because did some hacking. So if I'm over here, let's say I would like to be here, so when I came in, I could go towards the terminal. Now, when the enemy's coming, they could go around the obstacle this way to get to me or around this way to get to me. And since they can go diagonally, it's faster for them to go across the top. So I've got some markers. I'm going to say after my blue's turn, they each are going to move 1 square diagonally. The 1's going to go here, and the 2 is going to go there. Then it'll be my purple's turn. And if my purple goes to help with the door, these guys are going to move even closer. And if they go 1 more square up to the top, 1 more turn, they'll be in line of sight and likely really in range really quickly. So I don't really want them up there. So I need to do something to keep them from going up. So what I was planning on doing is having my purple Antathus come down to this square, keeping out of the line of sight. And then he'll be the nearest person, the nearest hero rather than them. So once these guys moved here, they'll move back again, trying to get to the purple. So I can put this back where they will be. And then after the purple's turn, it'll be blue again. And then they're going to try to go up across. Probably the 2 at least will get the diagonal. 1 could go either way. But then I want to keep purple here again, because let's say if they're both up here, to get them both back down again, because that's closer than going all the way up there. As long as it was purple's turn. If it's blue's turn, that just ended, they will go up. So that's my plan. I got my little markers that I figured this out. That's what I'm going to be trying to do. We'll see how that works. We're starting with turn 14, and since it's an even number, we both get a turn, and then every even number, we get to change who goes first if we want. If we ever change who's going to go first, I'll just take my little marker to remind me. So flip it over to the other side. They each can have that. At the beginning, I'm going to start with blue going first because blue's got all the hacking ability. I'm going to get that going as quick as I can. So let's put our guys back at the beginning. We now have a strategy kind of set up. What I'm going to try to do is get through this door with the blue guy and hack that terminal. I got to hack both terminals within 14 turns. Purple's going to come down here, draw them off here like a decoy, and then I got to quick get out. And once he's out, then purple can go around this way and have the enemy come around after us. Maybe we can get through this door or that door. Both doors go into the room that have this terminal, do the final hacking. We'll probably both try to get into that room because there's walls to prevent them from being in line of sight, even if they're in range. So that's the plan. That's the strategy, tactics, whatever. We'll see how it works out. This is Len Lindsay at My Rogue Angels. I'm going to sign off right now and start the run-through playthrough.